Hi, welcome everyone. I'm just going to go ahead and go live in our Facebook group now. There we go. We have some people already chiming in, anxiously waiting for our hot topic today. Welcome to another Q&A office hour and strategy session. I'm Jeanne Petrucci, registered dietitian, and your colleague here to support you with all of the content, resources, and strategies that you need to grow your practice so that you don't burn out. I am the founder of Living Plate RX, and today's topic is a hot one. Meal plans are always really top of the list when I talk to colleagues about what they're struggling with in their practice and what takes up a lot of time. And today we're going to be focusing on really how you best utilize meal plans in your practice and how to make them profitable. And I don't think it's going to be what you expect. The conversation today. So I'm glad that you're with me here today and we can have this conversation. All right, let me just go into our Facebook group right now and make sure that we are live. If you are on with me right now, please go ahead and let me know where you're joining from. And I would also, oh, there we are. Good. Okay, just doing a little tech check here as we always do. Please drop in comments where you're joining me from and what your niche is. And I will do my absolute best to, really craft this conversation around your needs. If you have any questions kind of as we're moving along, or you already have a burning question, go ahead and drop it in comments and I will get right back to you. I have my team on with us today. Molly is on, I think Hillary is on, Jen is on. So we are all here to support you. We also have friends joining us from LinkedIn and YouTube. So welcome everybody. If you are a member of our community, you know that we host these office hours twice per month. And then once per month, we offer strategy calls, which are Zoom calls with me and my team, just taking a deeper dive for members. If you are new to this community and you are not yet a Living Plate RX member, please hang on until the end and I'll share with you how you can connect with us so that we can support you with growing your practice so that you don't have to burn out. All right, on to our topic today. We are talking about making meal plans profitable. Again, if you're just joining us, please drop for me what your niche is in comments. I can view your comments here on my phone if you see me glancing to the side. So go ahead and drop what your niche is and where you're joining us from. So meal planning, again, a hot topic because as nutrition professionals, people come to us, and even if you're not like a dietitian or a health coach, maybe you're a functional medicine doctor, people are going to ask you for meal plans because you are making nutrition recommendations almost always to people based on their diagnosis, right? So whether it is a clinical diagnosis or a nutrition diagnosis, they are going to need support with following whatever your nutrition prescription is. So that's what we call kind of a recommendation in our world. It is a nutrition prescription. What is the intake related actions that your clients have to take? Now, most often patients will say, oh, my doctor told me to eat more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Well, yeah, they probably knew that before they got in the office. And the question is, how can we support them with eating more fruits, vegetables, whole grains? Again, for meeting whatever that nutrition prescription is. So it's really powerful because everybody comes into the counseling room, patients and clients, wanting meal plans. So that's powerful. But you know what else is powerful? The pain that it takes to create meal plans. I want everybody who's on with me right now to just give me a raising hand emoji if you have ever felt the pain of creating meal plans. I'm going to raise my hand first because when I was in private practice, I was like stunned. And I'm a culinary dietitian. I have a teaching kitchen, which is where I'm broadcasting from today. And I was just shocked by the volume of requests for meal plans. So even people who weren't patients of mine, they were like calling Living Plate to say, hey, do you guys offer meal plans? And it was just constant. And I walked next door to a dietitian who had been in business for a long time. She had joined me here in the practice. And I said, what's with the meal plan? She's like, oh yeah, get used to it. Everybody wants one. And that really started my journey with Building Living Plate RX, which is our proprietary meal planning system and really the best in the business because it has been built by registered dietitians. So people who really are on the front lines of patient care and supporting them with really implementing nutrition prescriptions. A lot of raising hand emojis. Yeah, a lot of pain surrounding meal plans. So we're going to talk about that today. The good news is that there are many solutions to alleviating that, not only alleviating that pain of creating meal plans, but also making meal plans profitable for your practice. Super important. Look, we are not in this to have a hobby, right? Running a nutrition practice, or a coaching practice, like that's a very expensive hobby. You want to and need to be able to make it work, right? Make a business out of it and make it profitable. And meal plans can be a part of that. What you're not going to hear from me today, and what is messaging that has been sold to our community over and over and over again, is that you can sell meal plans to create passive income. I will never say that. Unless you are a person of extreme influence, it is rare that you are going to be able to sell meal plans as passive income, like just post them on your website and start selling them. And there are a lot of reasons for that, and we'll talk about that today. So let's move on to what our agenda is today. So I want to talk about, and we did poll our Facebook group. We have a private Facebook group that we're streaming into now. So if you're joining us on LinkedIn or YouTube, Scale Your Nutrition Practice is our private Facebook group. We would love to have you join us. Really active conversation going on there with members of our community. You don't have to be a Living Plate RX member, although most of the people in the Facebook group are. But what you'll be able to see is how people are using meal plans and other content in practice. And we'd love to share there. So please join the group. So we polled our group to see what they really wanted to talk about, right, with meal plans as they relate to growing your practice and generating revenue. So first, it was how to price and package meal plans so that you can maximize profit. Number two was really streamlining your workflow so that you're not stuck behind your computer for hours creating meal plans. And then another kind of general topic was how do I market my meal plans so that they're desirable to clients, right? Meal plans can be a real draw, like a real piece of attraction content, but it is more difficult now, primarily because anybody can create a meal plan, right? You can go on AI and generate a meal plan in a matter of seconds. So what is it about your meal plans that are different that's really going to elevate your service? So please, as we go through this session today, I would love to hear your thoughts, your wins. If you're a member, and I'm just going to move this wire here, because I talk with my hands a lot. If you are already a member and you've had success with using the meal plans, please drop a note here and kind of let us know. That'd be great. All right, so question number one, what is the best way to create customized meal plans without taking hours? Excuse me, I'm just gonna sneeze here. Hold on one second. Okay, no sneeze, I think. Okay. Live TV here, right? Live streaming. All right. So the first question was, what's the best way to create customized meal plans without it taking hours? Now, there are a couple of solutions here. And many of you have already raised your hands to say that, you know, meal plans have been a real drag, a real time suck. Like, I get it. And they are. So the first thing that you need is a meal planning platform that is going to allow you to be efficient. Right. So we have one. So spoiler alert, Living Plate RX, we developed a proprietary meal planning platform, which our members have access to in addition to many other resources. But the meal planning platform has to be customizable. It has to be easy to use. You know, let's go back to the customizable first, because I think that's really important. It needs to be customizable by both the practitioner, you, and your clients and your patients. Because if you spend all this time curating a meal plan for your patients, and then they come back and like, oh, I really don't like salmon. Like, I got that a lot. I really don't like salmon. I really don't like butternut squash, or my family doesn't like turkey. I get it, right? But they need to be able to make the changes as well. So you need a meal planning platform that is almost like, we would describe it as like a two-way window, where your clients, and I refer to them as clients and patients interchangeably, because I know we have health coaches and wellness professionals, as well as practitioners, healthcare providers. So patients, clients on the other side, right? And then you on kind of the practitioner side. And in between is this two-way window where it really becomes a beautiful space to have a conversation around food. It should not be one way. So that's like the biggest tip here. It needs to be customizable by both you and your patients. However, that customization needs to happen within the nutrition prescription. So sometimes practitioners are like, oh, I don't want my clients to be able to search for brownies and cookies and, you know, different things. That's not going to happen in our meal planning system because you can issue a meal plan by nutrition prescription and it's protected. The recipes that they can search are for that nutrition prescription. So for example, anti-inflammatory, right? We define that and then we give you a template for that and your patients will only see anti-inflammatory recipes. So you're not going to be creating these meal plans from scratch. You start with templates, which is point number 2. Start with templates. Like you don't want to create meal plans from scratch. You want to start with templates that are created for you by, right, credentialed nutrition professionals. You need to make sure that whatever meal plans you are putting in front of your clients or your patients, that they are evidence-based. If you are a health coach, if you are a personal trainer, if you are a doctor, it doesn't matter. All patients, all people, all clients deserve to have evidence-based recommendations. So know that ours obviously are created by master's level registered dietitians and culinary professionals as well, because it's not just the numbers, which I think is where a lot of meal planning systems get it wrong, where it's all about the carbs, the proteins, the fats. I mean, yes, that's important, but the eating experience is even more important because it's not great to look at, if it's not simple, if it doesn't consider lifestyle preferences, and it doesn't look good or taste good or feel good, they're not going to eat it. It doesn't matter, right? So starting with templates is really the bigger point here. Number 2, the question that we're answering is like kind of what's the best way to create customized meal plans. So number 1 was to make sure you have a meal planning system that allows you in a very simple way with like drag and drop to curate a plan that your clients can also customize. And then number 2, now we're talking about the evidence-based templates. The second point that I want to make on this second point, which is the evidence-based templates, use the templates that are given to you. And you need to trust them, right? So if you're using a meal planning system, you need to make sure that those meal plans are being curated by a nutrition professional who follows evidence-based standards. Then you need to take a look at your practice and say, okay, I serve women who are touched by PCOS, just for example, or menopausal women. You want to consider your population and think about the nutrition prescriptions that you work with most often. Is it like calorie based? Because that's kind of an easy example for me to give you. Maybe you issue 1,800 calorie meal plans and 2,200 calorie meal plans. Those are 2 different meal plans, and you should create one for each of those pillars, right? So think about within the niche that you're serving. I think we have a couple of niches that were dropped here. We have a coach who serves women over 40 and a lifestyle medicine approach for longevity. Oh, Karen, I love that. So think about your niche, right? So longevity, that covers a lot of ground. There's not one meal plan that is going to address longevity. So under that umbrella of nutrition for healthy aging and longevity, what are the pillars of people that you serve? Think about who you're serving, and then you create what we call at Living Plate RX signature meal plans. You create one meal plan for each one of these pillars, and then you can issue them to thousands of people. That's where it becomes scalable. What you don't want to do ever is create a meal plan for every single client. Even if you have like a meal planning system that's like algorithm driven or AI driven, where it generates a new meal plan for every client that walks in the door, honestly, just not sustainable. It's hard to keep track of in practice. It's hard to watch the customization of it all. If you know that the client sitting in front of you is going to fit into a particular pillar, then you will issue that client and every other client in that nutrition prescription that meal plan. So you know exactly what they're looking at every single week, and it becomes very, very scalable. So creating these signature plans in your practice is probably one of the biggest tips that I can give you today on kind of saving time and not creating hours. Because a lot of the times when we're creating meal plans, we are doing it at the client level. And that is something you never want to do. So tell me, what have I said so far that you think will help you kind of speed up your meal planning process and help you save time? Is it the customization piece of it that the clients can make? Let me just give you another example for that piece. If your clients can customize their meal plans, eventually you aren't going to have to customize them at all. You're teaching them how to fish, so you're not doing the work for them. I'm going to revisit really kind of an overarching philosophy that I mentioned the last time we were on a meal planning calls, that nobody follows a meal plan. You might be able to issue, a 1 month meal plan to somebody and they can follow it for a certain period of time, but over, behavior change in a long period of time, nobody follows a meal plan. So the idea is that you're giving them a space within which they have unbelievable resources. And we're going to talk about how you can kind of amp up those resources in your meal planner. And then they're going to be able to learn how to meal plan themselves. That's the idea. And then, of course, number 2 here is to create these signature plans where you have maybe, I would say in a practice, if you're a solo practitioner, maybe 4 to 6 signature meal plans. That's probably all you're going to need. And then you just decide which meal plan is this client going to get. And then they can customize. And if they're going to be paying you, you can customize that for them as well. Does that make sense? Just type makes sense if what I said so far makes sense. So that was answering the question, what's the best way to create customized meal plans without it taking hours, right? So have the right platform, make sure it's customizable by both you and the client, and start with evidence-based templates and then create your own signature templates, right? Okay, so Karen has dropped a comment here. I'm interested in creating meal plans for different health challenges, migraines, depression. Yeah, so Karen, that all goes along with, healthy aging and longevity, right? So you will create signature plans for depression, migraines, etc. The first thing that you'll need to do, Karen, is identify the evidence behind a nutrition prescription for that topic. So yes, there is a significant amount of evidence around migraines, and how do you manage that with nutrition? Potentially it's a histamine issue. You just have to do some investigation there. So find the evidence-based nutrition prescription for these pillars and then apply it to your food selection in these meal plans. Melissa's saying makes sense, makes sense. Shivani is asking, sorry if I missed it. Can I have a meal plan service online that people can subscribe to for a monthly basis? Yes, Shivani. So we do, our meal planning service gives you total flexibility. Our meal planning platform has been built by registered dietitians who are on the front lines of nutrition care. So they've pretty much thought of everything, and I've just executed what they've asked for. So yes, there are plenty of dietitians who, maybe you're an insurance-based practice and you aren't going to be offering meal plans as part of your offer, although I would argue you probably should do that anyway. And you might want to offer it as a standalone service. You can do that very easily within Living Plate RX, and you can set your own price. That happens within our platform. So thank you for asking that question, Shivani. All right, so on to question number 2 now. How do I market meal plans so that clients can see the value in them? So this is a great question. And, if clients don't understand the why, they're not going to kind of buy into the meal planning. So I want to talk about ways that you can position your meal plans so that they feel like an essential part of the transformation and like not just a bonus or a one-off. So number 1, within the Living Plate RX, we have a dietary assessment tool called BioScreen. Now, if you're not a Living Plate RX member, you're still doing an assessment, right? The assessment is the very, very first step of nutrition care. You need to do an assessment. You need to understand where people are at that point in time before they start working with you. So many reasons why you need to do that. For clinical practice, you need to map out know where they are, and then map out for them where they need to go in order to get a better health outcome, right? So it is essential that you know where they're starting, and the BioScreen tool helps you do that. But then also from a marketing perspective, it helps you justify your services, right? So you will be using meal plans to help map out a path to a better health outcome. But it's really hard to do that if you don't have kind of a pin and a map, right? This is where you are. And when I say this is where you are, you need to be able to reflect back to them what is their current dietary pattern, where are the shortcomings? What's the good, what's the bad, what's the ugly, right? And you're going to attack the ugly first because that's going to give them the quickest win. But the BioScreen dietary assessment tool can be an essential and super efficient way to get a number and get some data on someone's 90-day dietary pattern. So before they even sit down to work with you in your counseling session, they're going to, in Living Plate RX, you're going to issue them their assessment. They're going to get an email, they're going to complete the assessment, and you're going to get back reports that will support what the meal plan is going to look like, right? What is the, if it shows that your intake of fiber is low, we need to work on that. And so what does that mean? Why don't you guys drop for me? If somebody came back, if somebody's dietary pattern says that their, fiber intake daily is about, let's just say 10, right? So 10 grams of fiber, where do we want them to be? Now, everybody in their practice is different. The recommendations are between 25 and 30 grams of fiber daily, but maybe in your practice, like, I really like to see that at like 35 or 40, maybe because you're supporting somebody with hormone balance, right? So fiber could be a really great thing to target, but you're never really going to know that until you have them take an assessment. Now, you could go through a whole process of just trying to figure it out based on dietary recalls and, self-reporting, but that's difficult and that takes you a lot of time. So take my advice, issue the BioScreen assessment tool. If you're already a member and you haven't used it yet, that's the first thing you should be doing when you get off this call. Because again, the reports that you get back are going to literally show the client the value of the meal plan, because the report is going to come back and it's going to analyze their fruit, vegetable, and whole grain intake. And it's going to give them numbers on other nutrients such as fiber and protein, omega-3s, all of that. And so you can use this report, which is validated, by the way. It's been used in research for over 2 decades. And you will be able to then map out, say, okay, we're seeing that your fiber is low. Here's what we're going to be putting into your meal plan, right? So start with the conversation about what their needs are, and then really it will support that transformation message, right? So instead of saying, my services are, include a meal plan. Well, it's so much more than that. Like, you are going to provide them personalized nutrition care. You are going to provide them with a weekly meal plan guide that's going to be designed to help them, for example, reduce their bloating and boost energy. Now, that is the marketing messaging that you can share, but what that's going to be targeting, right? Specifically for your ICA. Bird is asking a question. Are you talking about an FFQ? I love that question, Bird. I usually mention FFQ, but a lot of people don't know what that is. So yes, Bird, it is an FFQ. An FFQ is a food frequency questionnaire. Food frequency questionnaires are an evidence-based way to assess someone's 90-day look back, right? So the previous 90 days of their dietary intake. The issue with food frequency questionnaires is, that was a tongue twister. The issue with food frequency questionnaires is that they are laborious to complete. Typically, it's like pen to paper, fill in the dots. There are plenty of them online as well, but they're long and they're usually text-based. The BioScreen dietary assessment tool is a visual assessment tool. It is like the coolest thing ever. Again, if you are a member and you haven't started using it yet, that's the first thing you should do when this call is over. And it takes them through pictures. It asks them what foods they eat by showing them pictures of foods and food groups. And it will assess the types of foods that they're eating. It will assess fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. And then it also targets portion size, right? So frequency and portion size as well as the food. So Bird, it is a food frequency questionnaire, but it is super fun to complete and engaging. So super high value. And again, we're talking about meal plans, but FFQs are really important because how do you know what meal plan to issue somebody? You have to do the assessment first, right? And get the diagnosis. Meal plans, and this is going to lead us into our next question, meal plans are part of an intervention. They are part of a nutrition and dietary intervention, but you need to have that data first. Oh, you're welcome, Bird. Great. Karen Olson saying that she's writing Kindle books to address challenges too. That's amazing. That's amazing, Karen. Congratulations on that. Okay. Shivani is asking, is there a module inside of Living Plate that I can learn from? So many. Yeah, we provide you with plenty of support, Shivani, for not only how to use the meal planning tool, but how to leverage meal plans to be profitable in your practice. Also, how to, how do you actually get to the point of issuing a meal plan? Again, meal plans are part of a nutrition intervention. They add value to an intervention. And in order to do that, you kind of need to do the assessment first. So we train you on the entire process, right? We have it all covered. Okay. So we're still on how to market meal plans to clients so that they have value. I would say, speak about meal plans again as a part of what you are offering. You're just not in the business of offering meal plans. Like, that's not what we've been trained to do, right? You are in the business of supporting somebody with getting a transformation. So the messaging around the value of the meal plans is really talking about the transformation that these meal plans are going to help them achieve, right? They're going to provide them, your clients, your ideal customers, with tremendous support. The meal plans are going to have recipes. The meal plans are customizable. The meal plans can also include cooking videos and content, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So there's a lot that you can put into these meal plans. And again, a beautiful space to have a conversation around food as it relates to somebody's nutrition prescription. So another way that you can show value with meal plans is if you have, and I actually experienced this a lot in my practice, and this was a long time ago. I mean, this is about 5 years ago when we first launched our proprietary meal planner and clients started using it. Immediate feedback, right? Immediate positive feedback. This is amazing. This is great. My kids love the butternut squash. My husband loved the roasted chicken. Like, I now no longer have to think about what I'm going to be making for dinner. You need to capture those as testimonials because that will help someone just kind of feel better about their decision to engage in you and to kind of opt into meal plans as part of your service. And it can help reduce decision fatigue. So somebody's like on the fence and like, oh, here's a young mom with kids and she found the meal planning part of this, service really helpful. You want to share that, right? And I think for me, I did work a lot with people who've been touched by cancer, but they were also like working moms almost always. They had a job, they were trying to feed their family, and they were dealing with a cancer diagnosis and potentially a treatment. And it helped just alleviate all the fatigue around the decision fatigue around, what am I going to make for dinner, right? So it answers that question, what's for dinner? I'll answer that for you and I'll help you meet your health goals. So paying attention to your messaging around it is really important. So make sure that and we're still on the question of how do I, describe my meal plans as part of my practice? How do I market them so that they show value, right? So that my ideal customer avatar sees value in them. You need to connect the meal plans with the outcome. So you're not in the meal planning business, right? You're in the business of behavior change. You're going to help somebody transform their behaviors so that they can get the outcome that they deserve, right? And that they're looking for. So meal plans will support them with resources, right? Sometimes it's structure. Some people are like, just give me a meal plan. But I do caution you with messaging around structure because nobody follows a meal plan. And if you give somebody a meal plan and say, here's your meal plan, go follow it, they're going to burn out. It's not possible because the meal plan will show recipes for breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. And nobody makes breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner every single day of their life. So just kind of watching your messaging around that a little bit, that, meal plans are going to be a tremendous resource for you. I'm going to provide you with recipes that will help you meet your health goals. I will also provide you with recipes to feed your children, so you don't have to worry about that. And then they will end up getting better results, again, because they have an evidence-based place to point to, right? The AI, they can generate a meal plan, but they don't know where all that information is coming from, right? They can search Pinterest, they can search the internet, but again, it's too much. Like, you're going to keep it simple. I'm giving you recipes that are specific to your nutrition prescription, right? And that's what they want to hear, right? They want to hear, I'm going to get a better outcome using these meal plans by Shivani or Hillary or Bird. Okay, great. So tell me what part of the conversation that we just had resonated with you the most. Like, how are you going to communicate meal plan value in your practice to your community? It could be existing clients if you're kind of new to meal planning, or it could be attracting new clients. I really want you to think about, what you're going to try to implement so that you have the right messaging. So, think about if you have any messaging right now, here's your action, and you can answer, drop a comment too, and let me know kind of what you think you need to be working on there. Which part of the messaging needs work? Is it, how these meal plans help you get to the transformation that you're looking for, the outcome that you're looking for, how these meal plans can be a resource for you, how these meal plans are specific to your nutrition prescription, how these meal plans are created based on your dietary habits, like your current dietary habits, and how we can improve those. I think that could be really powerful messaging, especially if your pitch, your messaging is not landing with the consumer necessarily, but maybe a referring doctor, right? What would the referring doctor need to hear from you? Well, Dr. X, first I'm going to do an assessment for every patient that you send to me. Now, an assessment is you clicking a link. It's so easy to issue. So that's low-hanging fruit. I'm going to issue an assessment. We're going to get back some data. That data is going to tell me what type of meal plan, what type of nutrition support this client needs. That's very, very powerful. And that's a really solid message for doctors. Robin is saying that she's going to work on how meal plans help with the transformation. Perfect. And again, Robin, that could be direct to consumer, but that could also be your conversation with any kind of referring doctor or even a referring community program, a community partner, in other words. So everybody that gets into your practice, they get an assessment. Based on that assessment, I issue them a meal plan. That whole process that I just talked about will take you less than 5 minutes. Now, interpreting the reports might take a little bit longer depending on what comes back, but you issue the assessment, then you issue the meal plan. Easy peasy, really great. Okay, so question number 3 that we got. Are we okay? Everybody doing good? Give me a thumbs up if we're doing good here. What's the best way to price meal planning as a service? This is probably the number 1 question that we get in. I think somebody already asked that question today, is can I sell the meal plans kind of a la carte? Sure, you can, but should you? Probably not. I think that, offering meal plans, like maybe even a free trial or 2 weeks or maybe a month free, is great attraction content so that people can start seeing the value that your whole practice brings. Right? People are not coming to you for just a meal plan. They're coming to you for a transformation. So always remind yourself of that. So yes, you can sell the meal plans a la carte. You can post them on your website. You can, price them pretty much however you want and offer them as a standalone. But here's what it's going to depend on, whether you're successful or not. It's going to depend on your level of influence. If you have a very well-established level of influence, you could do okay. I'm going to give you like an extreme example. If Jennifer Aniston came out, now I don't know, she's still popular, right? She's, kind of my generation. So that's what I'm thinking. So if Jennifer Aniston came out with a meal plan, she could probably sell millions of dollars of meal plans, right? Because she has a super high level of influence. And I'm not saying you have to have that level of influence, but you do have to have a certain level of authority established already with your ideal customer avatar if you want to sell them as a standalone. So when people come into our communities, a lot of times the first thing they think of is, oh, I just want to get the meal plans up so I can start selling meal plans. What I'm going to say is that that's really stepping over dollars to collect pennies, because you're probably only going to collect pennies on the meal plans on the other side, right? The dollars piece of it is when you take these meal plans and you feature them inside of a higher level offer. So that's where, that's kind of the sweet spot. You want to incorporate it as one of the features of a higher ticket offer, or you offer it as part of a membership model. And membership models can look like so many different things. You could offer, membership to, just as part of your services, right from the get-go. And you do need to have a very kind of active sales funnel, meaning that you're serving a lot of people already to have a successful membership model, I think. But even if you're in the insurance business, right, you take insurance for your services, you get paid, while that person's insurance is paying, right? So maybe they max out after 3 months or 6 months. Well, until their insurance kind of re-ups for the next year, maybe they can enroll in a low cost membership model, or even, dare I say, free membership. So everybody who comes to your practice is going to be enrolled in this monthly member program where they're going to be getting new content from you every month. And that can include a new meal plan every month. Again, because you've created these signature plans, it's just a click for you. It's in terms of time, it's not costing you anything. So it could be really, really powerful for you. Great. Thanks, Shivani. Mary Ellen Myers, welcome. It's good to see you here. So overall messaging here is that time plus transformation is going to equal value. How long does it take you to offer the service, and what is the transformation worth to the client, right? So if it doesn't take you that much time and the transformation is great, then that's going to be the sweet spot for you. And I think that equation really plays out very well when you incorporate meal plans into existing services. I hope that makes sense to everybody. So does that make sense? Type in "makes sense" if that makes sense. Let me know in the comments too if you're ready to kind of add meal plans. If they can be, very little time that it takes you. If you could offer meal plans, you think it would add value to your practice. I would love to hear that from you as well. So what I want you to do here, like your action steps, we try and think about one thing that you can do with every question that we answer, is to think about what you currently offer in your practice and if meal plans kind of fit into that. And what kind of value would you assign to that? Now, the time it takes you to create the meal plans, that's kind of how you can establish value, more or less. Now, if you're a Living Plate RX member, it's not going to take you much time at all to offer meal plans. So the time burden is quite low. So you can always, I want you always to consider that when you're kind of selling it on the other side. So it's a high value product because everybody wants it. It doesn't cost you too much to offer it. So that's the target. Like, that's great. So you want to take that and you want to nest it into a bigger offer, right? Because it adds huge value without a ton of your time. So I would like to see everybody who's on this call think about that. And if you're a Living Plate RX member already, implement it. If you're not, potentially think about joining us so that you can offer these meal plans as part of your packages to add extraordinary value. All right, question number 4. How can I bundle meal plans with my offers? Like, literally, kind of what does it look like? So again, we've already talked about this being a super, super smart move because it has high value and it can really support clients with getting awesome results. So included in a signature program. If, let's say that you have, I think 3-month programs are great. And the reason why I say 3 months is let's reflect back on what I talked about before you do any meal planning, which is doing the assessment. The assessment tool that you have access to in Living Plate RX gives you a 90-day look back at somebody's dietary pattern. We are in the business of changing the dietary pattern. That is your client's best chance at long-term results, right? Long-term better health outcomes. So 90 days, so 3 months. So that could be a really great signature program. 3 months, we're going to do a dietary assessment. We have your score. In 3 months, we're going to improve the score from this to this by doing this, right? So your intervention and the meal plans are going to be part of that, right? So it can really help support people on their journey in that 3 months. So I think already you can see from this conversation, like 3 months could be a really nice spot to live. The meal plans, again, don't take you any time, super high value, and you can bake a ton of things into them. And actually, maybe we'll talk about that right now too, because I think that can be important. Meal plans people typically see as just, recipes for breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. Well, yes, it can be, but a higher value meal plan would include other things. So in Living Plate RX, there's actually a notes feature for those who are members. If you haven't used that yet, it's going to be the second thing you do after this call. There is a notes feature. It's like a little sticky note that you can include with every meal category. So let's say for breakfast, you're recommending to somebody a smoothie, or smoothie is probably not a great example, but we have videos for smoothies. But something that they might not be familiar with, like maybe a tofu scramble or shakshuka, something that is recommended for their nutrition prescription for breakfast. You can include a link for your personal cooking video that we provide you inside the meal plan. and just say cooking video, click here for cooking video. And so the client is not only getting, text, but they're also getting a visual experience. So for your visual learners, it's great, but it's just super high value because that's not something AI can compete with. And that's not really something like other meal planners can compete with either. That makes your meal planner in your signature program super elite. So incorporating cooking videos. You can also include things like content, like handouts. That's relatively easy to do as well. I would say the cooking videos are the low-hanging fruit because they're super high value and it doesn't take you time. So you just grab the link from your Living PlanRx library and you post it. And I wouldn't fill a meal planner with cooking videos, but potentially include cooking videos for like highlighted recipes. So I tend to include cooking videos for dinners when I'm curating meal plans for clients. So we have large group practices and institutions that hire us to actually create their signature plans. We usually focus on, the bigger meals, right? The meals that take the most time, that people probably need a little bit more culinary support with. Typically that's dinner. So if you're offering this signature program and meal plans are part of it, make your meal plans super elite. Include the cooking videos. Very easy to do. Take you minutes to do that. Melissa is asking a question. When you make the meal plan, are you putting actual foods into it or just giving them daily macros? Oh no, actual foods. And actually, Melissa, that's a great question because you made me think of something else. So again, we're talking about meal plannings and kind of making them high value, making them the highest value possible to include in your offers. You don't want to just give somebody a meal plan that says, oh, you need to meet these macronutrient targets, right? This many calories, carbs, proteins, fats. If they use something like MyFitnessPal, they could probably hack their way to that, but that's not optimal. What you want to do is give them a meal plan that meets that nutrition prescription. Now, the nutrition prescription, Melissa, will include the macros. So calories, carbs, protein, fat. It might include other things too, like fiber or phosphorus or calcium, but you can determine that. And then the meal, you use one of our templates. The idea is that you pick a template that is the closest to the nutrition prescription of the people that you serve. And then you edit that to make a signature plan. And then that signature plan can be used for thousands of people. It's just very, very scalable, right? So the meal plan includes the macros. It includes a grocery list. People can scale it. People can customize it. It includes recipes. But, and this is the idea that you gave me too that I wanted to mention, Melissa, it also includes single foods. Remember, nobody follows a meal plan. So the simpler you make it, the better chance your clients have of actually using it as a resource. So for example, in our meal plans, typically for snacks, we'll either include a protein bar, a protein shake, or something as simple as apples and nut butter, or pair with almond butter and hemp seeds. And what we do is we stack these different foods, right? Whole foods to create the meal. So you can do that in our meal planner as well. Melissa, it sounds like you're a really good candidate to sign up for one of our demo calls. We're going to be dropping a link for a demo call. So you can hop on one of these calls with me. We offer them several times per month, and I'll show you exactly what the meal planner looks like and how it works. But it's more than the macros, right? You start with the macros and then the food is curated to meet that nutrition prescription. And you use recipes, you use foods, and you could also just simply include suggestions. We just curated a meal plan for a client that wanted hydration reminders, like just a reminder in the meal plan. And so we have a hydration meal, right? So and just various like simple things that we can include in the hydration, like, tea or infused water. So it wasn't really recipes, but it was just more of a reminder. So again, really intended to support behavior change, Melissa. Okay, we're still on the question of how can I bundle meal plans with my offers. So including like super high value and elite meal planning experience inside of your signature program, great option. You could also offer tiered packages. So if you're offering, let's say you offer counseling sessions, that's kind of your basic level. Your premium level could be sessions plus assessment. Well, the assessment you're going to do anyway, so maybe we'll keep that in basic too. But the premium will include the sessions and the assessment and a meal planning experience that includes, again, this elite experience with cooking videos, recipes. And then VIP could include your sessions, but then also the meal planning, the elite meal planning experience, and messaging access. Now, in order to do that, You're going to need, we recommend that you use an EHR anyway. You're going to need a HIPAA compliant space to have those conversations, but that could be a VIP level. So including meal planning in tiered packages, gives it the perception of more value. So basic clients, counseling, get this, maybe I offer you a few recipe packs, but if you want a digital meal planning experience that has cooking videos in it and notes for me, and or you also want to be able to message me once or twice per week, then you already have your tier. So you can think about tiering your offers. And then also, thirdly, I would say using meal plans as a bonus for like a renewal or kind of maintenance, or even a win back of clients. So if you have clients who have completed a counseling session with you, it can be an add-on that kind of keeps them in the loop until they come back and see you again. But then it could also be maybe somebody who isn't working with you anymore and they've just kind of fallen off the radar. Offer meal plans as a bonus to kind of come back. And again, if you're offering meal plans that are an elite experience, it's really going to speak to the level of services that you provide. Tara is saying, does it come with grocery lists? 100%, Tara. So you curate the plan and then your client can generate a grocery list off of that. I will caution you, however, like that sounds great, right? Let's meal plan, grocery list, shop and buy. But you should encourage your clients to edit the grocery list, to edit the meal plan. This is why the client side editing is really important. You want the client to edit the meal plan to include only those recipes that they are going to commit to with you in the counseling session to implementing. And that, Tara, might look like 2 or 3 dinners per week. Maybe it's only breakfasts. Maybe it's only snacks. But whatever is on the meal planner, if that gets sent to the grocery list, it's going to be on the grocery list. So you need to make sure that whatever is on the meal planner is actually what they're going to do. I discourage everyone from watching this, from who is watching this call, from encouraging clients to, here's a meal plan, generate your grocery list, go shopping, or send it to Instacart. Like that is unsustainable, overwhelming. People are just not going to know what to do when all these groceries come into their home, right? So be really specific about what their goals are for that week or for the next 2 weeks until they see you again. Your goal this week is snacks. That's it. Maybe this client is struggling with snacks at work. Delete everything, pick the snacks that you want, maybe leave a dinner or two if you think like you're up for that, and then generate your grocery list. Does that make sense, Tara? Yeah, so I just want to make sure that we're not assuming that people are going to be following the meal plan because nobody's going to do that, right? And then it's worse because then they end up with a lot of food waste, right? They generate this grocery list and then they order all this food and they can't keep up with building it all. That's why I think it's also really important to include some convenience items like bars, like pre-purchased hummus, that kind of thing, because that's always easier. That's like the quicker to the plate scenario where they're not having to make it, right? It's just ready to eat. So that's convenience. Robin is asking, are there any sample tiered package examples in the resources within the platform? Well, Robin, I think that it's really, so yes, we support you with that. That happens more in our strategy calls. So Robin, you would join one of our member strategy calls. And actually, Molly, if you're on with me still right now, that's probably a great topic for a strategy call. But you can come into these strategy calls and say, look, I really, I want to elevate my practice. I want to start offering tiered packaging. What does it look like for my niche, my community, and also my business goals? So yes, you can ask those questions, Robin, but they're very, very specific to kind of your practice, right? Are you a solo practitioner? Do you have support? What's your niche? What area do you live in? How many clients do you have? Like, I would not start offering tiered programming right from the get-go. You will know if tiered programming is going to work for you if clients are asking for more, right? You're in counseling. That's what on day 2 here in my practice, people were asking for meal plans. Well, okay, maybe that's a premium package right now. So it's really going to be very specific to your niche. Okay. So has anybody ever offered tier programming? If you're on with us right now, let me know if you just type in yes, if you've offered tier programming before, because this could be a really nice addition. The meal planning could be a really nice addition, but just don't throw it in as an afterthought, because meal plans, again, super high value, doesn't take you a lot of time. You want to build this super, super elite experience. Okay. So we do have somebody, we had a question come in from just one of our members, and Molly thought that it would be interesting to explore here, which is that, do you only offer your own recipes? Kind of what is a resource for getting healthy recipes? I mean, so Living Plate RX, you have access to thousands of recipes and also kind of standalone items and foods like apples, bananas, oranges. Again, you can kind of build your own meals and snacks with those. So if you're a member of Living Plate RX, you don't have to develop all your own recipes or purchase them. Purchasing recipes, I think Tara had asked this question. Purchasing recipes is very, very expensive, like almost cost prohibitive. If you will need at least 3,000 recipes to curate a variety of nutrition prescriptions, at least, because again, it's a customizable experience optimally. So people need to be able to select from a database. So purchasing recipes for $3,000, that intellectual property is super expensive, and for most practitioners, cost prohibitive. It's better to license them from Living Plate RX and use them that way. But I think what's really great to note about this question is, can I enter my own recipes? A lot of practitioners come to us already having an established library of recipes that they've been sharing with their clients, and they want to input them into Living Plate RX. It's so easy to do. So yes, you can input your own recipes. Tara, you are already going to have access to thousands of recipes that you can call your own. So really no reason to purchase healthy recipes. If you find a recipe online or on Pinterest, I don't recommend, unless you have permission, to include those in your meal plans for clients, because you are using these meal plans as a revenue generating option in your practice, and you really can't generate revenue off of someone else's intellectual property. So if you are currently using a meal planning system that allows you to clip recipes from the internet, I strongly discourage you from doing that, because that is a violation of somebody else's intellectual property. So you'll either want to license recipes from Living Plate RX. It comes with the meal planner, so you don't pay extra for that. And you can also enter your own. So I hope that answered the question. Does anybody here create their own recipes? You can type in recipe if you create your own recipes. Love to know if we have any recipe creators on with us today. So are there any other questions about meal planning? We talked about a lot about meal planning, and really, mostly around what makes a good meal planner. How do you incorporate them into your practice to drive revenue, and kind of where do they fit in your practice? If there's any other questions that you have about meal planning, now is a good time. Bird is asking, can you integrate Living Plate RX with an EHR platform like Practice Better or Healthy? Wonderful question. Yes, 100% you can. We have when you say integration, that means a very specific thing. So we have an integration with Healthy, meaning that within Healthy, you can issue our meal plans to your clients, and it's single sign-on. So when your clients sign into Healthy, to their Healthy account, they're automatically signed into Living Plate RX. So it really improves the experience for them, and it certainly improves the workflow for you. All of our other content too is also included in Healthy for Healthy users. So if you're a Healthy user and you are a Living Plate RX user, there's great communication between the two platforms, and we support you with improving your workflow. With Practice Better, it's not an actual integration, but we do support you with offering meal plans inside of Practice Better. We have pre-built an offer inside of Practice Better that we give to you. So you can just click a link and it opens up the offer. It's pre-built for you. And then you include your meal planning link. And so you can issue meal plans within Practice Better. What I will say is that these integrations and kind of these connections and these bridges that we're building, they're really intended to just improve workflow. It doesn't actually bring Living Plate RX, which is a massive platform, into another massive platform. That's not going to happen. You will still need to go to Living Plate RX to manage your meal plans, meaning that if you issue a meal plan to a client from within Healthy, they can sign into it, they can see it from within Healthy, but you will still need to manage that bird inside of Living Plate RX for the absolute best experience. Okay. Okay, do the recipes provide nutrition facts? Of course they do. Melissa, you're asking really great questions today. Thank you so much. So yes, the meal planner does include nutrition facts but it can also not include nutrition facts. If you work with a population who's been touched by eating disorders or disordered eating, you're not going to want to show nutrition facts. So you as the practitioner, you'll always be able to see those, but then you have the choice of whether or not you're going to issue the nutrition facts or not. For all of our health coaches who are on with us, we recommend that you hide nutrition facts because you are not allowed to, you can create meal plans to support people with eating healthy, but you can't curate meal plans to be specific to nutrition prescriptions. In most states, that's not legal. So you can hide the nutrition facts and just make them more generic for helping people meet their health goals with food, which is totally within your scope. So there's a lot of, we give you total flexibility. Melissa, I'm just going to remind you of something that I had said at the beginning. I don't know if you were on or not, that our meal planning platform was created by registered dietitians. So they've thought of everything, like everything, all the questions that we're getting to today, the thousands of RDs that we serve, they've already kind of told us what they need, and we've executed it for them. So yes, you get nutrition facts. You can see expanded nutrition facts, anything that the USDA has to offer on particular ingredients, you can access through Living Plate RX because we do use the USDA database. So thank you for joining me for this conversation today. So I want you to know that, you know, for those of you who are not Living Plate RX members yet, that I am in it to support you with meal planning, but then also all of the other resources that you need to build your practice without burning out. Because I experienced that when I opened up my practice. Nobody told me that every single person coming in the door was going to ask for a meal plan and that I was going to have to create it. Nobody told me the sheer amount of content that was going to be required that I create to run my practice, blog posts, newsletters, emails. Again, back to the meal plans, right? Meal plans, really intense. And I burned out very, very quickly. And so I left private practice so you don't have to. I left private practice to focus on the meal planning and the content piece and really the business support so that you can have success and really have a great quality of life using Living Plate RX. So with our platform, you're going to be able to create really beautiful, evidence-based, personalized meal plans in minutes. It takes minutes, seconds in some cases. If you already have your signature plans built, it takes you less than a minute to issue one to a meal plan to a client. You'll also get access to done-for-you evidence-based templates. So those are, you know, anything from diabetes, heart disease, anti-inflammatory, low FODMAP. All of these templates are already built for you. They include recipes that are specific to those nutrition prescriptions, and you get to build on that. And you can also add other resources like cooking videos. Really encourage our members to include cooking videos in their meal plans, and I've already shared with you how you do that. Really elevates your meal plans, it makes them super elite. And within Living Plate RX, we're also going to help you market and monetize meal planning within the context of an intervention. I thought about this a little bit before getting on the call, like, you know, how do I summarize for people who don't know what Living Plate RX is? Like, what is one of the best summaries of it? We help you monetize the intervention, really the nutrition care process from assessment to evaluation. We help you monetize that in a way that doesn't take a lot of time from you. Right? We give you all the content. We give you the meal planning. We help monetize meal planning in that way because it's part of that intervention, right? Intervention, building an intervention is part of the nutrition care process. And meal planning can be a strong part of that. It's not the only part, but it's a strong, strong part of that. So we support you with how to market and monetize this intervention so that you can grow practice, have a great quality of life, and and avoid the panic attacks that I had. So we're going to drop a link in comments right now. And Molly, if you could do that on LinkedIn and YouTube as well. It's a link to a demo call. If you are a Living Plate RX member, you don't need to follow that link because we support you within Living Plate RX. You can use the chat function on every page in the platform to reach out to us if you have questions. But if you are not a member yet and you want to save hours every week with our platform, then you want to sign up for this demo. Just a free demo call. It's me and my team members. A lot of times Molly joins me, sometimes Hillary joins, sometimes we all do. Jen joins us too. So these demo calls are really intended to just share with you what it looks like inside of Living Plate RX, and they're really powerful. It's either going to resonate with you or not. almost everybody who hops on a demo call, they're like, oh my goodness, like I needed this like 6 months ago. So I think it could be really important for you to join that demo call. So just click on that link and we'll be sharing with you what the meal planner, and again, all the other content looks like. I'll demonstrate how to create a meal plan. I will demonstrate kind of the drag and drop functionality, the nutrition facts, the grocery list, all of that. And we can also talk about how to tie your offers to meal plans and interventions so that your clients kind of say yes faster, right? So that you're really speaking your ideal customer avatar's language. So click the link in the comments if you'd like to hop on a demo call. Before we wrap up, if there are any other questions on your mind, now is a good time to ask. If you're watching the replay, if you can comment #replay and kind of let me know what your biggest concern is around meal plans and or today's session, I'll hop in and my team will hop in and we will answer those questions for you. And I'd love to know from those of you on with me right now, like what is the one thing that you're going to implement today from the Q&A? It might be, I'm going to join a demo call, which is an awesome action to take for your practice and yourself personally. Or it might be, I'm going to include cooking videos in my meal plans. It might be, I'm going to start using the BioScreen dietary assessment tool to drive meal plan creation. Let me know what you're going to do, please. Drop that in comments. I always love to kind of get feedback from you on what resonated the most. But at the end of the day, at the end of the session, I want you to take an action, one action, whether it's a demo call, including the videos, curating a signature meal plan. Just make a commitment to taking one action. And evidence has shown if you share that action and you type it down, type it in comments, you're more likely to follow through with it, right? So let's follow behavior change theory and type in comments kind of what is your takeaway from today and what is the action that you're going to take. So Karen says, I need another demo call. So Karen, reach out to us in the chat inside of Living Play RX and we'll support you with whatever you need. Melissa, based on the questions that you're asking me today, you're an excellent candidate for the demo call. So join me. It's no pressure. It's not a sales call. I just show you how I can support you in growing your practice so that you don't burn out. And it's either going to resonate with you or not, but I'm going to be there to answer all of your questions. So let's see, Tara's saying she's going to join a demo call and learn more. Yeah, and Tara's interested in seeing the BioScreen tool in action. It's one of the first things that I show in the demo call on the meal planning side because it's the first part of the nutrition care process and it's essential to do a dietary assessment before issuing a meal plan to any client. So yeah, we'll take you through that, Tara, really closely. Ellen is going to start using the BioScreen assessment. Yes. Ellen, one of the first things that you can do if you haven't done it yet is you can issue yourself or a family member or multiple family members. There's no limit to how many you can use. The BioScreen tool. Just make sure that if you issue it to yourself, you use a different email than your LPRX one. And then you'll have your own experience and you'll be able to share that with clients. The feedback is that it is fun. And for practitioners, it is really effective at proving your worth and for supporting you with creating meal plans, right? Like it's called content mapping. I think somebody had asked, do we support you with kind of using all of this stuff? 100%. And part of on the meal planning side, we support you with mapping out, like how do you know what meal plan to issue to a client? How do you know what recipes to include? And sometimes it's not even a meal plan. It's like, what recipes do I get this client? Well, you're going to take a look at their BioScreen reports and it's going to be super clear. Like very few decisions you're going to have to make. It's basically going to be what recipes am I going to share with them? Which content am I going to share with them? I hope that makes sense. If I'm talking fast today, you guys must be like, wow, she just talked so fast. It's because I'm really passionate about this topic and I tend to get excited and speak loud and fast, when it comes to providing you resources for your practice and meal planning specifically. So I apologize if I was talking too fast, but again, here for you. I'm going to bring you all of our knowledge, all of our passion inside of these demo calls. So make sure that you join us. Tara, Karen, Melissa, Bird, Hillary, Tanya, thank you, or Tiana, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if you're watching this as a recording, #replay, you can tag me and I'll be able to answer all of your questions. So thank you so much for joining me today. I'm cheering you all on. I want you all to practice with ease. And I can't wait to see what you're going to be doing with these meal plans in your practice. Have a great day.